Good morning. Thank you, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today. My name is Kauthar Musa. I'm the organizer of this event. It's my pleasure to welcome you to this beautiful venue, Connections Catering Events. Isn't it grateful place? It's honored by young black immigrant women, so that's why we chose today here. I'm honored to serve our community in many capacity. I work with Federal Qualified Health Center, FQHC, ensuring that underserved families receive access to quality health care. I also serve on the Columbus City Schools Community Engagement Committee, where I support strong connections between schools and families. I recently sworn as a member of Franklin County Democratic Party Central Committee member, where I will advocate for equity and representation. Additionally, I am proud to be the co-founder of Ohio New American Chamber of Commerce with my colleague, Imran Malik. Can you please stand up? Imran Malik and me, we started Ohio Chamber of Commerce recently. So we will talk more about that organization, hopefully next event. But today is for Mayor Mohamed Egal. Today is about unity, leadership, and empowerment. We are here to uplift, celebrate the strengths and connections of our communities. Now it's my great pleasure to welcome and introduce you to the host of this event. Speakers lineup: Mr. Ibrahim Sow, the CEO of the Ohio New African Immigrant Commission. Please help me to welcome him.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Good morning. As the amazing Ms. Kauthar says, who is everywhere all the time, all at once. And I don't know how she does it, but I think as in this conversation of civic engagement and in public service and really what that looks like, there are so many examples, including her, of how to be able to do that rather than just say it. And so I'm glad to know her, glad to very much see how she inspires other people. And as she said, I also want to give homage to this space that is a shining light in a lot of places of looking at how to not erase but revise what identity looks like. And so being able to have a space where we can proudly say that it's not only black and immigrant owned, but that we can use it and that you are welcome here, and that this is a space that we can feel that we belong. And so we are grateful to be able to share the space. As Ms. Kauthar said, I am the executive director, not CEO, but that does sound fancy. The executive director of the Ohio African Immigrants Commission, a commission at the state level, at least from what we've been able to find on our commission, very much unique. In a way that is created by state law in the Ohio Revised Code that represents approximately 104,000 African immigrants across Ohio to advocate, protect, and be able to be a voice at the state level in our union. And one thing that we all know is that everyone is a combination of a lot of things. And so beyond being the executive director of this wonderful commission, I also have the privilege of being the president of the local Senegalese Association here in Central Ohio. And beyond that, I'm a proud father of those of you that know, of terrorizing twin boys, and a baby girl that I didn't know you could be that terrorizing, but turns out you can be, I don't know, a foot tall or less than that and still be a bully. So I'm proud to do that, and also to have known so many people here in different paths that I've crossed to kind of really help build me into who I am. And I know we're all always building each other up because that's what a village is. That's what a village looks like. And so in Central Ohio, we have those that lead our village, in our executives, in our mayors, who not only embody public service, but are also very good examples of what it looks like to build a village, maintain a village, and continue to make villages thrive in a way that is, no matter what kind of national environment or global environment we're in, we can always rely on them, as well as our city councils, to kind of guide the way and continue to provide mentorship for so many residents across Central Ohio. And so in that vein, I want to invite our very own history maker, Mr. Mayor Mohamed Egal, who, in the sense of public service, is going to share with us the amazing work that kind of led his journey to being the mayor of Seatac, Washington, suburb of Seattle, and being able to very much inspire us today. And then we'll kind of get into other mayors' experience and have this as a public discussion. So, Mr. Mayor.
Good morning. My name is Mohamed Egal. I am the mayor of City of Seatac. Seatac is not City of Seattle. Most people know City of Seattle. We are a community in between City of Seattle and Tacoma, called Seatac. It's 35,000 community, broad and strong. If you landed in the Pacific Northwest, Seatac International Airport, you are in Seatac. You are not in Seattle. I just want to make sure of that. It is truly a pleasure to join you on this beautiful Saturday morning. I have deep personal ties to Central Ohio. Many of my nieces and nephews live in this community. I have spent 5 years of late 90s and early 2000 in this beautiful state and this community. I can say without doubt that I learned a great deal from Central Ohio. Hard work, self-reliance, and of course, enduring love of football. When it's a Buckeye fan, it's always a Buckeye fan. Actually, even when we moved out 20 years ago to Western Washington, we always, every year, looking forward to beat Michigan State. I never made much football before I moved to Central Ohio, but somehow I get that back, and it will stay with me the rest of my life. I want to also acknowledge my campaign manager, Abdul, here, from Ohio. I want to thank you for coming. I know it's Saturday morning. It's not easy to leave Saturday morning from family and other stuff that in your life, and to come all the way down. That means a lot to me. It shows the love and respect that you have my community, Somali community. Somali communities are proud people who are part of American fabric. And Ohio has the second largest Somali American community. And they say that all the roads lead to Rome. Actually, I've thought about it, what that means, and I find out that in almost 4,000 years, the Romans moved a lot of troops around the world, and those troops need actually roads. So any road from Egypt, from Bangladesh, is coming to Rome. So any Somalis who have anything to do with politics or community or civic engagement must come to Columbus, Ohio. And they are dear to us, our community. And if you are a friend of the Somali community of Central Ohio and Columbus, you are my friend. And you have a lot of friends in Minnesota, in San Diego, and in Seattle and Seatac. Thank you very much. And please enjoy the breakfast. And I'm the mayor, and I'm running for re-election 2025. I want to say something about my city. We got a very conservative council majority. I don't know if you remember, 2013 we were the first community that passed the minimum wage. People think it was Seatac. It was Seatac, actually. And we have progressive majority at that time in the council. We have what they call form of government called council led by the mayor and the city manager form of government. It's actually most of the Western small communities are that kind of form of government. So some members of our community make case saying that if you make it minimum wage $15, all the companies are moving out. Actually, Seatac had that time around 7,000 business licenses. Now it has 17,000. So when they tell you that if you raise the minimum wage and give them people ability to live life and be able to afford where they live and to buy homes, all of that, that's not true. Actually, we are proof of that. Then they took over the majority of the council. They selected city manager who gave us really hard time, basically, especially community of Bible communities, and actually disfranchised and have done a lot of harm. That's how I got involved in politics. I was one of the organizers, that. Let's put it that way. We had Trump before Trump. In 2015, that's the council we have, really, So I got involved with that. I was social worker, very long time social worker. When I was in Columbus, Ohio, I was social worker. I never thought I will be in politics. Politics, I thought it's very difficult. You have to make public speaking, engagement, all of those things. And I thought this will be difficult. But when I saw what they did in my people, my community, I said, I gotta do something. And I stand up and I fight. And I led the fight, actually, basically. I led the fight with other communities, Latino community, Asian community, and African American. Then actually we flipped the council. And we have chosen city and mayor and Chuck Simpson, and then after that we keep 2023 the majority, and I was elected and selected actually to be the mayor. And 2025 we want to keep that majority because we did amazing job, and this is what we did. We have built 1,400 affordable housing in Seatac. We don't have police community of color issue in that part of our community. We don't have fentanyl and the drugs and those addictions and those kind of stuff. We don't have a lot of mental illness Seattle has. We don't have it. Our challenge is having place to live. And if you don't have place to live, you cannot get job. And if you get that job, you cannot keep that job. So housing is human rights. So I want you to help me because I want to keep the majority and stay to be the mayor so we can finish and I can finish the job. And I will do it that. And you will support me. Because if you supported us, you supported your community here in in Central Ohio and other parts of the United States. Thank you very much. And I can see your commitment is here coming Saturday morning, which is very difficult. I appreciate it and thank you. And please enjoy the breakfast. Thank you.
And so, as you were sharing, Mr. Mayor, the journey that led you to public service, I also want to recognize Joe Bigney of the city of Brownsburg, who started out as not only a public school teacher and a social worker, but is also defined by his service to others, and that led him to City Hall in Reynoldsburg. And so I want to give him an opportunity to share his journey and the focuses that he has on Reynoldsburg.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. This is actually really close to where I used to teach. I was a teacher in Columbus City Schools at Beechcroft High School, just down the road from here. I can tell you that I would not be who I am having not taught in that building and taught those students. They are the only thing that I miss from teaching. As you know, education is not what it once was, but the students in that building, even today, are just an amazing thing and vibrant to the community. They're the reason why I'm here, actually. You spend a lot of time talking about American history, and we talk about the challenges and the struggles that everyone has faced, and that there are people and movements that can change the world. And they said in only the special way high school students can say is, well, what are you going to do? And I was taken aback because I was not expecting that. So I started my first part of my public life as a board member for Reynoldsburg City Schools, and we fought a good fight and made some great changes. And it made me believe that, hey, if I can fix the school district somewhat, why can't I fix the city? And wow, that worked out well. I got elected in 2019 with a slate of amazing people. We were able to turn a community that had been predominantly Republican for 50 years into a majority democratic movement. I'm the first Democratic mayor since 1971 in the city of Reynoldsburg. And with the help of council, we established a number of provisions, anything from anti-discrimination to income protections to the Crown Act to anything and everything and more, including a devotion to housing. Mayor, you mentioned housing, how important housing is. Reynoldsburg is one of the few communities in Central Ohio, along with my friends from Whitehall and others, that have actually continued to build housing. We're about 4,500 units of housing for a small suburban community since I've been elected in 2020. We're hoping to add 110 units of affordable housing by the end of this year, which is a first for our community in a long time. But what I've learned with this is it's not about necessarily the work that I can talk to you about. I can talk policies and legislation, but the reality is making a difference in our residents' lives and by extension the general Central Ohio community. We are facing times that even as a history teacher I can say I cannot point to another time in American history where things have been where they're at. Where challenges for everyone, especially our immigrant community, are so right in our face. I would talk about legislation that was passed 100 years ago, and you could sub out one particular group to another, and it was the same thing, but this is a different time period. In Reynoldsburg, it means significantly more to us because our largest minority population is actually the Nepali community that are refugees from Bhutan, and their temporary protected status expires in June of this year. And we are already starting to see elements of fear from our community members about what it's going to be, from anything from being taken by ICE to being confronted to being asked things that we've all seen. And as the mayor, we have to stand with all of our residents to make sure that that does not happen. This is not what they said it was going to be, which we all in the room, we know that they were going to go after everybody. It's not about criminals. It's about anybody who doesn't look like what they think America looks like. And
right now, I think we are going to hear from some of that action that is happening, particularly in the wonderful city of Whitehall. And so I want to bring up the first black mayor of the city of Whitehall, Mayor Bivens, as well as Amy Harkar, a member of the Whitehall City Council. If you would both come up.
My journey.
Yes.
Okay. Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for this forum. And Mayor, thank you so much for your comments. It's always an honor and a pleasure to meet fellow public servants and all of the public servants and all of the other public servants. I consider us all kindred and family. Just a little bit about my journey, and it's funny how small the world is because, incidentally, I graduated from Beechcroft High School back in 1989. So so this is my neighborhood. But the journey to elected service for me really began back when I was 5 years old, living in Los Angeles, California. A little bit of background of me. I've lived almost in every sector of Franklin County, all the way from here, all the way to Oxnard, California, and Los Angeles, California, back in the 70s. And there I see some more seasoned faces in this room. You know, the 70s was about freedom. The 70s was about, just getting on a bus and going wherever. Well, I had a mother that lived that life in that way, and we just jumped on a Greyhound bus and moved all the way to California. And I've lived homeless. I've lived in shelters. I've lived on beaches. I've lived on grandma's couch. I've lived in numerous amounts of places, but my road to public service really began on the freeway of Los Angeles, California at the age of 6 when I saw a very close friend of ours get shot by the Los Angeles Police Department and die as a result of police brutality. And that little incident in my young mind introduced a word to me, which was a word I'd never heard because it was not a word that was conditioned to my socioeconomics, and that was the word lawyer. And everyone was talking about, we need to get a lawyer, we need to get a lawyer. And in my mind, I was thinking, well, a lawyer seems like somebody that's going to be someone that can make a difference, and I want to make a difference, so I want to become a lawyer. But my socioeconomics didn't match up to that. And I remember telling a teacher, incidentally, Mayor Begany, telling a teacher as we were going around the room and all of the little beautiful minds were saying, you know, what they wanted to be, and it got to me, and that teacher said, what would you like to be, little Mikey? And I said I wanted to be a lawyer, and that teacher looked at me with the kindest eyes and said, well, you might want to think of something a little less. And I took that to my mom, and I bottled it up in my heart, and I did not listen to that teacher, and the only thing I ever wanted to be in my life was a lawyer. And so in my background and from my family, that's a tremendous feat. On my father's side, he's one of 17. On my mother's side, she's one of 6. I have about 200 to 300 cousins. I am the very first graduate of college in my family, the first Juris Doctorate in my family. And so first has just kind of been the theme and the chord of my life. And with all of that, I ended up becoming the very first African-American elected official in Whitehall history when I became its city attorney. And I served as city attorney for 8 years. I was able to serve as a lawyer with Judge Jameson back when we were in those halls fighting the good fight and doing our thing. But what got me to mayor was so fortuitous, and something that I just have to say that God has a great sense of humor, and I think that I am probably on his number 1 or 2 list of saying, let's just push this button to see what Michael does now so I can get a good laugh. Because the time came for our mayor that preceded me, Mayor Maggard, was term limited, and it was a decision that I had to make on whether or not I would run a 3rd term for city attorney or become mayor or run for mayor. And
thank you to our wonderful mayor for that introduction. And thank you, Mayor Mohamed Egal, for being here today and bringing us all together. This is a wonderful opportunity. So for the past 17 years, I've had the privilege of working or volunteering at ETSS, as some of you may know, Ethiopian Tawahedo Social Services, where we work with immigrants and refugees from around the world. And that experience has brought me to where I am today. Our previous mayor had called me, Mayor Maggard, and she said, hey, Amy, you know, there's going to be some council seats coming available. And I'm like, I'm listening to her, and she's like, well, I think you should run. And I was like, oh, that's not what I thought you were going to say. So I said, well, I'm heading out of town tomorrow. Can I think about it and get back to you? And she said, well, yeah, but you got to get moving soon. And so I think an hour later, I went to my husband. And I said, I think I'm going to do this. And he's like, yeah, I know, of course you are. So because I thought, why not, right? We ask people to get out there, to put themselves out there, and the fact that she had that respect for me to ask me to do that, why not take this next step? And thankfully came in with a wonderful mayor to be able to continue this work. So we did on Tuesday pass a resolution in support of immigrants and refugees in Whitehall, Ohio. We are very lucky. We had, I think it was 12 people that came in and spoke in support of the resolutions. They talked about their fears, even as American citizens, of what's going on right now, carrying extra paperwork, making sure that everything is with them, being worried about what's going to happen if they use their voices and they speak out. And we should not ever have to worry about that in the United States. We should not be afraid of using our voices to advocate for others. And it's really unfortunate that we're in a time and a place where, people have rightful fears on being able to do that. We know that immigrants and refugees, when they come to the United States, there are some barriers, there's some challenges, but those are not anything that we can't work through. We can figure out transportation, we can figure out language barriers, we can get to know the communities so that we're not trying to get communities to assimilate. We want them to integrate. We learn a great deal from our immigrant communities. In Whitehall, we have a very large Ethiopian and Hispanic community. And I am just, the block that I live on, coming home with my son the other day, the windows are down, it was actually nice out, and I could smell the coffee ceremony right behind my house. And I was only offended that I wasn't invited. The people down the street from us, they own food trucks and food service. And so, it's just such a wonderful thing to bring that into the community, to learn from each other, to see our immigrant neighbors as just that. They are our neighbors, they are our friends, they are our colleagues, they are future leaders or leaders now in our communities.
We have learned today so many things. We have learned a lot of story. We have learned a lot of good things. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, mayors. I really appreciate for all of you coming this morning. We have two great representatives to speak. I will call my friend, very own, our representative, Max Sigret, to say a few words. Please welcome. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Assalamu alaikum. Peace be with you, and it's my privilege to be here in such a welcoming group. And I can say honestly, I'm here today largely because I know Mohamed Osman and I know Qatar, and they are special connections in my life. And today I thought, what would I speak about? When my wife asked me, what are you going to speak about today? I'm going to speak about connections. And then I drove in the parking lot. Oh, it's called Connections. This place is called Connections. So God smiled and is honored this today. It's my privilege to be here. I haven't been in politics that long, just really 3 years and about 3 months. And I was in council in Grove City, and I didn't like what I was seeing. And I just, long story short, decided I can't complain, I got to do something. So I ran and I won in council, and then 3 years later I ran and we flipped a seat in Ohio. It was the only seat flipped in 99 races, the State House. And I had great help from many people, but my heart is so full knowing so many people from the immigrant community. And I'd like to say something. Is there anyone in this room that has Native American heritage? You are the only non-immigrant in this room. Thank you. So for the other 99.9% of this country, when people talk about immigrants, remember, we are all immigrants, okay? We are all immigrants. So let's keep that straight. That's a key takeaway. Number two, it's interesting, and I don't think it's a coincidence, that 250 years ago, we were in the same kind of despair in our fledgling colonies. And in Boston, when we had 7,000 people living there and 13,000 British soldiers and families living there, it was very, very difficult. And very ordinary people took small actions and did small things that led to the Revolutionary War and the eventual dispelling of our paying homage to a king and getting the rule of the king. These were very heroic, and we're in the same time. So this, and my feeling about connections, it's very important. We need all hands on deck. Every single person in this room, every single person in this country has to start using their connections and reaching out and making a difference. Heart to heart, table to table, meet your neighbors, take a stand. We are in a desperate time right now, and we need everyone. And we are all immigrants. Let's remind people that are sitting right now on their hands. They're an immigrant too, and we need to be in this battle, and we need to empower the people that truly have the power. So I ask for that kind of help. I also want to say this kind of courage has risk, but let's be real. Any reward has risk. Mm-hmm. Any reward has risk. We have to be careful, and I'm not trying to say dangerously go into action, but small things, small activities. And what Amy did really inspired me. And I had read about it, and I reached out to her, and we're going to try some things. Based on her courage and her conviction, we're going to try some things. And sorry, one more. I forgot about this. Great special moment. For 13 years, I sponsored a Thanksgiving Day run in Grove City. And it's a big food, kind of a big fundraiser for the food pantry. And it was my privilege last year, on the front line of the race, or 2,000 people, Mohamed Osman and his family were like in this race as participants. And it just touched my heart to have the first ever, I think, Somalian immigrants and perhaps Muslim people in a Grove City race. And it just meant so much. And there's all these pictures of the little Osman family, the children running and trying to beat their dad. And that's the kind of get out and let's make some connections example.
Thank you so much, Representative. Really appreciate for your time. And now I'm going to invite the stage. I know I'm oldie, but I have here today the first black judge that I have ever met from America. Judge Thompson, will you please come over here and say a few words?
Thank you, Qaatay. Good morning, everyone. I was very honored to meet Qaatay. Qaatay has a heart for service. And what I love about service teaches us to prepare us for leadership. Because if you can't serve, you can't lead. If you can't read, you can't lead. We're seeing attacks on just the basics of education. So I'll tell you a little bit about my story. I grew up in segregation in West Virginia. I literally lived across the tracks, on the wrong side of the tracks, as they say. I grew up in the 60s and the 70s. We were in war in Vietnam. I saw the Vietnam veterans return without respect. I saw men and women in my community that were treated differently just because of the color of your skin. When we went to school, I started school in an all-black school. So I actually went through desegregation of schools. So Brown versus Board of Education was very instrumental and impactful in my personal life. So I saw the law and the rulings of the court and how they can impact your life and how they can change your life at a very young age in elementary school. I had no idea that I would ever go to law school. It was not something that was even anticipated for someone that looked like me. But I had parents. My mother was the first black woman to ever be a supervisor for the Department of Welfare. So I saw that. I saw my father rise through the ranks, even in the underground coal mining industry. So when you have role models in your house that can show you how things are done, it's very impactful. So some of you may be first time going to college. You may be first time going into public service. You may be the first time even being able to vote in your family. So if you are the first, it's just important that you make sure you're not the last. So even in that, make sure that you are not the last. There is an act that they're trying to pass now that will take voting rights away from women. We haven't had voting rights that long, but they want to reverse where we are. Women have not had the ability to get credit without a husband or a father signing for them, but 50 years. That act passed in 1974. So you are getting some of the benefits that others have already worked for that you may not even know because history is no longer taught in school. So it's important that we as public officials make sure that you understand that there have been so many strides for us to be where we are. The impact of diversity, equity, and inclusion did not include black people. We came up through affirmative action, which was a different policy. So there have been many things that have changed and transitioned that you may not know, but there have been many people that fought for these rights that never actually got to exercise them. So take the rights that we have fought for, take the rights that you are entitled to, and move forward. Make sure that your children understand the impact of voting. If voting was not important, they would not try to take the right from you. And I'm just going to close because there's a lot of that I could say, because I did grow up in the 60s. I grew up when they were marching. I grew up, my mother was the youth leader for the NAACP, which was an intra-racial group that caused a movement across the country. That lets you know that it's important that we link up regardless to what our race is, regardless to what our gender is, regardless to whether we're new in the country, old in the country. We all have an interest in what's happening now. When I see them say, "Make America Great Again," what I see is they want to take us back to slavery. They want to take us back to a place where we're demoralized, where we do not have the rights. That's what I think of when I see that.
We still have two more people that will speak. But first, I want to call the firsty. Today, we have a lot of firsty. And let me add that one more time. And also, I'm also the first to graduate university from my family. So I want to share that. And also, I know Dr. Tacheri, she mentioned about the Haitian community. We have here today also the president, a lady that I met her at Ohio State. Well, she was fighting for some bills with, I don't remember, that was years ago. But her name is Sophie, and she is here. She's happy that. Thank you so much for all you do. But first, I want to call the first Asian Franklin County Young Democratic President, Brother Spencer. Please welcome.
Everyone, thank you so much. I'm Spencer Dierig, and I think I might be one of the few people standing between you and breakfast, so I will be very short. But thank you, Qatar, so much for the invitation to come here and speak today. It's truly been such an honor to get to know Qatar. I think everyone in this room knows that some people just truly do have a heart for public service, and they seek to go into the community and find new connections and build new relationships, and Qatar is one of those people, so thank you. Let's give her another round of applause. And I would be remiss as president of the Franklin County Young Democrats if I don't call out a couple of young Democrats who are here who are running for office this year. So Liz Turner is over here. She's running for school board. And Tiara Ross is running for Columbus City Council. So, look, we need more young people in office. I think if you turn on CNN, you will get that very, very, very quickly. So make sure to talk to these folks, support them, make sure that they know that you're behind them. It is such an honor to be able to be here today. Thank you to the mayor for bringing us together. I am the child of immigrants. I am extremely proud of my immigrant heritage, and my path into politics began way before I was born. My grandparents were born under British rule in India. They grew up during the partition of India between India and Pakistan. And growing up on the border, they saw exactly what it looked like to not have democracy. They also saw exactly what it looked like to have a democracy that was fundamentally polarized, filled with hate, filled with division, and filled with racial violence and religious violence. And my grandfather came to this country, got an education, saved up enough money to bring my grandmother and my mother to this country. They built a business together, successfully retired, and built a family. And despite all of that, I distinctly remember sitting on our porch patio swing, because, Indian families, you have to have a patio swing. So sitting on my patio swing with my grandfather, and this was around 2018. We were drinking chai, and I asked him, "What are you proudest of?" expecting him to say, building a business, having my grandkids, learning English, coming to this country. He looked at me and he said, the proudest day of my life was the day that I became an American citizen. Now, as I mentioned, it was 2018, and there was a lot of stuff going on, and Donald Trump was president. And I looked at him and I said, even now? Like, do you ever think, ugh, this isn't what I signed up for? And he said, no, especially now. Because now we have a responsibility to make it better for the next people who are coming. And that is fundamentally why I am involved in politics.
My journey, like others, started here in this local community in Columbus, Ohio. My grandparents came from North Carolina and West Virginia, the coal mines and sharecropping fields. And I, too, graduated from Beechcroft High School in 1997. So this is definitely a part of my journey, and it was actually at Beechcroft where I probably solidified. I remember to this day having an argument with my history teacher that I would be the first African-American female president. And she said, no, you're going to be a teacher. So I don't know what she saw in me, but I ended up becoming a teacher and had the great opportunity to teach at Denison University, Ohio State. In both political science, women's studies, and black studies. And it was in those courses where I helped young people understand the value of their voice and why it is so important for us to be engaged in the political process, for us to uplift democracy. And at a time in our country where we are being divided along political lines, along racial lines, along ethnic lines, along socioeconomic lines, it's time for us to, as Spencer said, stand in solidarity for humanity. And that humanity does lie in affordable housing, in high quality public education that truly educates people. And so I am so thrilled and really honored that we have candidates such as Liz Turner, such as candidate Ross, who are willing to step in the vanguard and fight in solidarity for young people across our community to ensure that we are uplifting those very important issues, not just on our school board, but also through our city council. And so as we think about the journey ahead, because it's a journey that's not a sprint, it's a journey that's a marathon. It's a journey that's not going to be accomplished in just this meeting or in just this upcoming month or just this election. This is a journey that's going to take us some years, that's going to take us some decades, that's going to take us coming together, creating think tanks, creating organizations such as that can support the NAACP, that can continue to organize and mobilize young people for the continued action that will really move our country forward. And so as we think about that, the one thing that I think has not been said today is that we are in early vote. We are in early vote. We are encouraging people to send in their absentee ballots. As much as possible, let people know that their voices are important. We need them to get out to the polls and vote. We need them to make sure that they're taking a friend to the polls with them to vote. We need them to send in those absentee ballots. They're expecting us not to show up. We need to show up. Show up in solidarity, show up and show your voice. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I think I see our next speaker walking in.
No. No, see, I feel like you all could do better than that. Good afternoon. All right, that sounds good. Well, as was stated, I am State Representative Latina M. Humphrey. I have the current pleasure of representing Ohio's 2nd House District. So that encompasses the majority of the east side of Columbus, majority of the south side of Columbus, entire city of Whitehall, and then I have some of those surrounding cities. But listen, you all, I have got to say, I am over the moon excited to be here with you all today. I do apologize about being late. I had some other community commitments, but even though I'm late, I think I'm right on time. I think that I am right on time. Listen, I don't have a bunch to say, but I do want to say thank you and hello to our mayor from Washington. If you could stand, I know you've been doing this a billion times. If you could stand, sir, I just want to honor you. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, sir. Not only for being the first, but from what it sounds like, from being consistent. So not only are you the first black mayor, but you have been consistent in your work and in your efforts and how you uplift your city. And so I want to say thank you on behalf of the Ohio House of Representatives. I want to say thank you on behalf of all my other colleagues, and thank you for all the work you do. Not only the work that you do, but the work you continue to do, the work that you have inspired others to be able to do. We're here because not only do we celebrate you, but we know that you are uplifting people who come after you. So I say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you all. Thank you, Father, for having me here.
Woo, that was
Could
great.
you talk about that license bill you just passed, because that would be impactful to some people.
Wow. Yeah. Please. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Of course. Why not? We need
That
that.
was important.
That's very important.
Well, so as of April 9th, thank you, Judge, for bringing this up. As of April 9th, there is a bill in law. It is House Bill 29. It came from the last General Assembly. What it does is it reinstates driver's license suspensions for those whose driver's licenses in the state of Ohio that have been suspended due to failure to pay court costs and court fines. But then it also impacts those who have who have low level, and I do mean low level drug offenses. And so what we believe and what we know from statistics is that this bill is going to impact millions of Ohioans across the state of Ohio. It is the first of its kind. We are thankful, we are grateful, and I'm super excited about that. It is already in law. It's going to impact folks retroactively. So if you have questions about the bill, please reach out to the BMV. You can certainly reach out to our offices, but reach out to the BMV. But know that if you qualify for this bill, it's going to happen. You don't have to go up there and ask them to do it. It's naturally going to happen. But if you have questions, please reach out to your local BMVs. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Humphrey. One more applause for her, please.